Hello, thank you for Channel Mum emailing me and letting me know. We are talking about breastfeeding, sort of. Feeding babies and the pressure that people put on breastfeeding. I was always happy to breastfeed. That was what my aim was, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to breastfeed for lots of different reasons, not just because it's what everybody says that you should do. They really do say that's what you should do. But I don't think it's right. I think it's right. Yes, you should. You should breastfeed if you can, because of a whole load of different things that I will get on and tell you about later. But if you can't, or not even if you can't, if your baby can't, or won't, or doesn't want to, or there's issues, there is no need to be pressured. Because this is what happened, sort of what happened with my first little boy, Ollie. He was born a couple of weeks early because I had preeclampsia. They'd taken me in hospital. I'd stayed in hospital for a little while. They'd monitored me. Then they decided to induce me. So I went through, had labour, and all the way right up to the end I was pushing, and they went, no, he's stuck, we're going to get him out from caesarean. So I had a caesarean with him. Sorry, I also have a cold. Always good. I had a caesarean with him, and after that, or during that, after he was born, I started to have a fit because of the preeclampsia. So they put me on a magnesium, it's not a drip, more like a infusion, I think they called it. It was a great big syringe thing. And I couldn't breastfeed while the magnesium was in my body. So that was 24 hours that I wasn't allowed to breastfeed for. So they cup fed him formula. And they said, because he's latched onto a cup rather than a teat, he won't have that nipple confusion. So he'll go to breastfeeding fine. But it didn't work. He tried, we did nipple shields. He would sort of half feed when I had nipple shields on, but he wasn't really taking it properly at all. I tried really hard. They sent me home from hospital. They're like, no, you're doing fine. Breastfeed him, you're doing fine. Midwives came out home to me every day for 10 days. No, you're doing fine, keep trying, he's getting better, keep trying. He wasn't getting better. I did keep trying. And a health visitor, when she took over at 10 days, said to me, well, express some into a bottle and see if he takes that. And he did. He took the whole bottle of it, and he'd only ever fed for about 3 or 4 minutes at a time before then. And he just took the whole, I think it was about 5-ounce bottle of expressed milk, no problem at all. So I was then trying to combine formula and expressed milk. No, formula hadn't come into it yet. I was trying to combine expressed milk and breastfeeding. And then the health visitor came back 2 days later and just said, he wants a bottle. It's not about you. You haven't done anything wrong. There is no problem with what you're doing. There's no problem with your milk. There's no problems. He wants a bottle. That's what works for him. And that, I still felt guilty because I'd felt so much pressure for 10 days from the midwives. But the health visitor came in and it was like, well, she's another professional. And she took on the voice of my little boy and said, he wants a bottle. That's what he needs. And from then on, I did a combination of expressing and formula feeding for a little while, and then dropped the expressing because it was, by that time I was in the middle of postnatal depression and all sorts of things like that because of I hadn't had the birth experience that I wanted, I hadn't had the feeding experience that I wanted, and I had put so much pressure on myself that I was out of it. I couldn't think straight anyway. So I stopped expressing, we went straight to bottles, and from then on, he was the happiest that he's ever been. He was the happiest that he's ever been. He has been happy since then. that worked for him. He put on weight, he started sleeping through the night. It was perfect. He weaned easily, there was no problems. I've never had problems with him since. There's never been health problems. We didn't have bonding problems, despite the fact that I hadn't exclusively breastfed for 6 months and that I'd had depression, and we bonded fine. There is no, I don't believe the bonding thing, because you're still cuddling your baby, you still have the hormones there. So he was pretty much exclusively bottle fed and is fine. I then went on to have Reese, who breastfed straight away, there was no problem, but he was very hungry. So he was a hungry baby and I was new to breastfeeding, and although I knew I wanted to do it, it was tough because he was constantly breastfeeding, and at the time I was very sore because I hadn't done it before and it was all new to me as well. And I don't know that his latch was fantastic, because with the 2 others I didn't get the pain that I did get with Reese, but I don't know if that's just because I'd already done it with Reese and so the pain is only there for the first one. So I don't know. But I breastfed him for I don't even know how long. It wasn't a year, but it was more than 6 months. And this is when you're there and you and all of your friends are having babies all together, and it's how long have you breastfed for? Oh, I'm still going. Oh no, you've stopped. That's where it all starts to go wrong, because now I have a 5-year-old that I knew I breastfed. I don't know how long for. I don't know when he started solids. I just don't know. It doesn't matter anymore. And at the time, it's all you can think about and it's all you worry about. But then they get older and you just don't know. I don't know how long I breastfed him for. And the same with Sophie. I stopped breastfeeding Sophie after a certain point because I was too pregnant with Ben, and it just seemed the right thing to do. But I can't remember when I stopped, and I can't remember when she moved on to bottles. She moved on to bottles quite easily. I never found any problem with the transition from breast to bottle with Sophie. I never had any problem with latch or getting used to feeding again with Sophie, and I never did with Ben. So that's proof that in this situation with me, it wasn't me, it was Ollie. And you've got to take that into account as well, I think, because it's not always the mum. Because the pressure always goes on the mum, because obviously you can't put pressure on a baby, but it wasn't for Ollie, it didn't work for him. And so sometimes you've got to go with that. Sometimes you've got to go with what they want as well as what you want. I mean, it was what I wanted, but the struggle around it and the stress of him losing weight, that's not what I wanted. And I haven't ended up with children that are any different to each other. All 4 of them have been fed differently. I've done combinations of expressing and bottle feeding and exclusively breastfeeding and 1 bottle before bedtime we did with Ben because he's massive, frankly. So he still doesn't sleep through, but that's another thing. But it doesn't matter. I really don't think it does. They recommend it, but if it wasn't good for your baby to have formula milk, they wouldn't make it. And in Ollie's case, if I hadn't have stepped in and given him formula milk then, he would be very ill. And I don't think that in that situation breast is best. I think that what your baby needs is best, and what you need is best. Because if I'd have carried on, my depression would have got worse. If I'd have carried on, his weight would have carried on dropping. And so it's not breast is best, it's whatever is best is best. Because my breastfeeding journey with the other 3 was easy and bump free, and there were times that I did enjoy it and there were times that I did hate it. But I think that's parenting in general, really. I don't know how I've come across this video. I seem very, I don't know what the right word is, almost grumpy, but I'm not. I just feel very strongly about the fact that it's not that breast is best, it's that feeding your baby until they are healthy and happy and satisfied is best. That's what's best for them, whatever they want. Because babies can't be selfish, really, and babies can't be wrong. They're born to know what they want. And he didn't want to do that, not after he'd been cup fed. And it worked, and whatever you do will work. It's just finding the right thing for you. But hopefully that's helped people. I don't know if you've hated the fact that I've shouted at you, but I will see you soon.